morning, everybody. It's Bonnie, and welcome back to Bonnie's Hoosier Treasures. And today we're going to be baking something with an element of surprise. Now, you're going to find this very unusual, but this is a recipe passed down from my mom, and it is called tomato soup cake. Yes, tomato soup. Hope you can see that. So as you bake along with me, I'm going to tell you some things about this tomato soup cake. So we're going to start off with the dry ingredients, which is 2 cups of flour, and we're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. My mom grew up in the Depression, and so they used only what they had available and whatever was the cheapest. Now to that we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and of course a bit of salt. And now, as we're living through this virus, we're using the things that we have around in the house. We're going to add a teaspoon or more, if you like it, of cinnamon. I'm going to add a bit more because I love the cinnamon. And if you have some nutmeg, I have these old Tupperware containers that I've had for years, and they work out pretty good. So you can use whatever spices you have, nutmeg, cloves, whatever you have around. Now, as I stir that up, that's all my dry. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to use my wet ingredients. Now the story goes, when we were kids, we would, Mom would always have people over after church for Sunday dinner, and us kids would know that Mom was going to be serving tomato soup cake, but our guests would never know. So after our roast beef dinner and Yorkshire pudding and all that, Mom would serve her cake, and the people would say, what's this cake? This is delicious. And us girls would be giggling away, because if you told people before that there was tomato soup in it, I think it kind of turns people off. So they would be eating it and enjoying this tomato soup cake, and after, when Mom would tell them what was in it, they said, "What?" So that was funny. That was a joke in our house. Okay, so let's move this away. Now we're going to mix the dry or the wet ingredients. So we're going to have 1/2 cup of shortening. Now, Mom used shortening a lot because you could, butter was hard to come by. I'm sure if you use butter, that would be fine. Okay. And then to this, we are going to add 1 cup of sugar. And we're going to mix that all together. Just till that's you're baking with me just as if I was just baking on my own. The only difference is I'm talking to you, right? Usually you talk to yourself. Okay, just mix that up, because to that we're going to add 2 eggs. And mix that all up. My mom had an old Sunbeam mixer. I remember that. It would rattle. But for a quick cake, and this turns out to be a nice spice cake, using just what you have. So there's our sugar and our eggs. And now to that, which is the wet ingredients, we're going to use a can. Yep. Tomato soup. I have so many recipes that belong to my mom and even my grandmother and different people. Going through my recipes is like going through a diary. The original handwriting. I just can't get rid of them. Okay, now I do have a 1 cup of raisins. And usually when you have fruit, you should just toss a little bit of white or flour in that, just so that when you bake, the fruit doesn't sink to the bottom. It seems to coat it all. Okay? Alright, now my wet mixture, I'm going to just slowly mix that into my dry. My mom, when I have 2 sisters, no brothers, when we were growing up, my mom was a woman of tradition. So every birthday, my oldest sister was born in, her birthday's in October. And so she would always get a tomato soup cake in the shape. Mom would decorate it so that it would look like a pumpkin. My youngest sister, her birthday is in December. And every birthday, her birthday cake would be a Yule log, a Christmas Yule log cake. If you have a stand mixer or a KitchenAid, you could do this all in that. Now my birthday's in February, and guess what? I always had a heart-shaped cake. So that was mine. So when I make this tomato soup cake, it not only reminds me of our dinners after church, but it reminds me of my oldest sister's birthday. Now, to that, I'm going to add my floured raisins. Stir that up. I have two 8-inch pans, of which I'm going to I've already greased them. I'm going to flour them. I have a big crock at my feet that I buy flour bulk. There, I'm going to just I think during the Depression they used a lot of dried fruit because they could keep it longer. Let's move all this out of the way. There's my 2 pans, and I'm going to evenly Mom used to talk about ration stamps, and they couldn't wait to get their hands on a pound of butter if they had enough ration. Seems like that's like us with toilet paper, right? And now yeast. Where do you can't find yeast anywhere. What days we're living in. Alright, so let's just spread that. So it's a pleasure for me to share some of these old, tried and true recipes that were a part of my life as a kid, and what's unusual can make the most delicious. So there's my cakes. I'm going to put them in a 350 oven and bake them for about 30 to 40 minutes, and I shall be back. Okay, so here, now these took only 30 minutes to cook. So there I have. Now you can do it in a loaf pan or one pan. I just decided to do it in 2 in case I wanted, again, to give one away. So let's try. Now these are pretty hot. Let's try slicing into this so you can see the color of this. This is hot, 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 hot. Okay, so there you go. Look at that. Tomato soup cake. Who would have thought? So don't turn up your nose. Give it a try. And I think I'm going to give this to my husband. He's been working outside in the garden, so he deserves a treat today. As always, you got to spoil these men in our lives, right? So have a great day, and I'm planning on showing you a new recipe every week from tried and true treasures from my Hoosier. So stay tuned, subscribe so you don't miss anything. Okay? God bless and keep you safe till we meet again. Bye for now.